Okay, this weekly update is for Sunday, October 23rd, 2011. Right now, actually, it is Monday because it's a little bit after midnight, but that's okay. As you may notice, the background is a little bit different, and that's because this day, October 23rd, has quite a bit of significance for me because on October 23rd, 1995, that's the day that I joined the Marine Corps, and my life really changed dramatically as a result of that decision. Now, it's interesting to say that because for some people, sometimes it's difficult for them to acknowledge, okay, well, the white man's military changed me or made me into the man I am today, that kind of thing, but I don't view it that way. I just know that had it not been for the discipline that I learned in the Marine Corps, the principles, the fundamentals of leadership, if I hadn't joined the Marine Corps, I really don't think I would be here today. In fact, I certainly would say if it weren't for God and how He has watched over me, especially from all the stuff I went through when I was in the Marine Corps, and then certainly the things in which I was selected for the particular computer job that I was chosen for, which really allowed me to completely change my life and my projection and a lot of things. Boy, I'm tired. I'm not sure I like how that sounds. But yes, so the Marine Corps really did change a lot of things for me, and really, it's the reason why I'm here. Alright, so it's been a while since I did an update, and that's my fault, but let's get into it. So, I went to the Nat'l Black MBA conference, and I was really glad I did. It is very tremendous. It's just this huge place. There's so many companies to talk to. It's very overwhelming in some senses, but yeah, I went, and I had quite a bit of success, I'd like to say. So one of the best things is, so MLT had a breakfast there, and one of the keynote speakers is a guy named Daniel. So he was a keynote speaker. After his speech, I went up and talked to him, and it turns out he was working for Microsoft and is like almost doing the exact job that I want to do right now. So I told him that, and then he said, okay, I could follow up with him at the booth. So one of the big challenges is it's a very big challenge to get an interview when you're actually at the Nat'l Black MBA conference, because usually the companies already have interviews lined up before they even arrive. But I talked to Daniel at the special MLT breakfast, and I talked to him again when I went to the Microsoft booth, and he really liked what I had to say, and I made a connection, and he's like, okay, you know what? Let's schedule you for an interview. So I was really happy about that. So I actually got an interview there, and I did that the next day on Thursday. I also talked to Dell. I got invited to the Dell party and had a really good time. It was open bar, but I didn't drink anything, and I was just dancing and having a lot of fun. I mean, as I had mentioned in almost every update, I haven't been out like partying or dancing or to the club since I've been in business school, so it was really nice to, because what Dell did, it was great. They rented out the big ballroom at the Marriott, and they had Spinderella, from Salt and Pepper, and Dougie Fresh there, and they were rapping and playing like old school hits and new school stuff, and it was just great. And then like Dougie Fresh was doing some of his songs. I mean, it was a whole lot of fun, and I just danced like the entire night. I was wearing a full suit, so it was interesting because I had to take off my suit jacket and put it on a chair, and then I had my little bag, and I had my iPad in there, so I wanted to make sure that didn't get stolen or anything, so I put it underneath the chair, and I don't know, I had to keep on checking on it every 10 minutes. It was really weird because I kept telling myself, is it really worth it to dance if somebody steals my iPad? Like if somebody sees me hovering over this thing and decides that it's valuable and then wants to steal it, is it really going to be worth it just to dance? And I was like, yes. I mean, I hadn't been able to do anything fun since I've been here at Rice, and so yeah, so I did that. Okay, and I also talked to IBM while I was there, and it turns out that I'm going to get an interview. I have a phone interview with IBM next week, or this week that's coming up. So that's something that came out of the contact that I made at the Nat'l Black MBA conference, and so that's great. The other good news is, so before I went to the Nat'l Black MBA conference, I had an interview with Microsoft here on the campus at Rice, and the great news is I got selected for second round interviews. So yeah, they will be flying me up to Seattle. It's all expenses paid. They pay for the hotel. They, being Microsoft, pay for the hotel, they pay for the rental car, they pay for the plane ticket, everything. And it's just excellent. So I'm really excited about that. And the other thing is, they tell you when you're there if you get the internship. So that's an area where I'm really going to have to deliver. So on November 4th, pray for me, because I'm going to have to be at my best. And I really think I'm going to be able to deliver. I am optimistic that I will be able to deliver. This past week we had the Rice Intensive Learning event or experience, or I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but primarily we weren't taking our regular classes, so I wasn't doing finance and accounting, thank God, or my other classes, and it was just that we had to practice negotiations, and we had to practice doing some computer simulation in which we were running the company. It was quite a lot of pressure. I mean, it was great because there was no homework, but especially for the negotiation part, I really didn't go home feeling very good, because I pretty much lost every negotiation. And yeah, it was interesting because some of my counterparts that I was negotiating with were, women, and I thought, okay, usually women, are, they want to be inclusive, and they want to make people feel good, and so I thought I was going to be able to get a deal and be able to make a negotiation, but it really didn't work out. In fact, it was pretty frustrating, because I would try to make a deal. I remember my very first one, I was working with one of the people that I know for a while, and I said, okay, I want to make this deal for, $800,000, and we finally negotiated down. I got all the way down to $520. Right before we walked in the classroom, I said, okay, $520,000, let's make the deal. I want to sell this gas station, I want to go live on my boat, and she said no. And then I walked into the classroom and I saw that other students had made deals for more than $520,000. So that was my bottom line. I mean, that was like right before we walked in the classroom, I said, okay, fine, 520, let's go for it. And she said no. And then other students had made deals for like $550,000 plus stock options, plus you get a new job. And it was like, oh my goodness, I could not close the deal. It was unfortunate. Now I want to end, and boy, I hope I have enough time, by telling a story about, so the very first midterm or final exam that we had to take was for statistics. Now, mind you, I had to take my 5 exams in 2 days when all the other students had 5 days to do theirs. Well, I finished the statistics exam and I did very, very poorly. We haven't received our grades yet. All the other classes we have grades, and I'm going to announce it once I get all the grades, but for statistics he hasn't given us our grades, but I know I did so poorly. And I remember sitting in that classroom and I was like, boy, this is the worst feeling. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be here, maybe I need to be somewhere else. There's another student who could be more worthy of me, and being here in his place, and I'm taking up space and taking up air, whatever. I was just feeling so bad about myself. And then right about that time, there's a janitor who I know. He's from Africa, and he comes around, and every time I see him I always say, hey, what's up, man? He's a nice guy. And it was really interesting, because I think God put him there. So right when I was feeling my worst, I'm thinking about maybe I need to get kicked out of the program, or maybe just quit. And I'm not someone who quits, but I was thinking, just this hurts so bad, it's so hurtful to do so poorly, maybe I shouldn't even be here. And then I see this janitor who's coming around, he's a little bit younger than I am, young guy, and it's like, boy, what would he give if he could be in my spot right now? What would he give if he can be going to Rice, such a prestigious university? And it just really struck me. So I was like, okay, I see what God is saying, and so of course I'm still here. Okay, more next week.